So you want to know the difference between flexibility and mobility and what works best. Well, in today's video, we are going to take you out on the gym floor and not only demonstrate a couple of examples of flexibility and stretching drills and mobility drills, but we're going to talk about how this ties into strength and conditioning principles, things like progressive overload, and how to use both so that you can develop both strength and flexibility at the same time. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
My name's Rad Burmeister. This is my brother Yanni Burmeister, and we are the co-founders of Unity Gym and the co-creators of the Foundation Movement System, where we teach you how to nourish and move instead of diet and exercise. And before I go any further, just a quick shout out to Kwok Nguyen. Thanks for watching, bro. We really appreciate the love, and I hope I got your name right. And one thing that I'm going to say real quick, a quick plug before we get to it at the end, is if you stay around to the end of this episode, you're going to find out about our Christmas in July sale starting next week. All of our programs are discounted 50% for 1 week. This is our most anticipated sale. We've had more inquiries about this than anything else we've done, so stick around to the end for that. Today we are talking about flexibility versus mobility, one of the most misunderstood concepts, I guess, of developing flexibility and how you can do it without, not only without losing strength, but whilst gaining strength.
And this comes directly from a brand new mini course that we've put together, which is added to the famous 18-minute stretching routine. It's been added
to the infamous 18-minute stretching routine, by far our most popular program and most sought after one. Whenever we do a flash sale, we get more emails about that program, about people missing out on the flash sale within the days to follow than anything else we've done. So it's been added to that program. The way that we...
Got the name right.
I dig. Awesome. Thanks, Kwok. Thanks for the love again, bro, as well. Thanks for tuning in and watching. We really appreciate you. So we get so many questions about this program, and we've added what we do with all our programs. We add content to them, so none of our stuff is just done and set and forget. We've added the Flexibility Essentials mini course to the 18-minute stretching routine and the Mobility Masterclass, and also the FMS online program. So if you haven't got any of those yet, you're missing out on an amazing mini course where we teach you, among many other things, the difference between flexibility and mobility.
Which is what we're going to talk about now. So let's
get out on the gym floor. I've got them.
So you want to go straight out on the gym floor?
Well, is that what we're doing?
Well, I don't
know. Yeah. Look, why don't we? Because this is the format that we're trying to show. For those of you, we have had feedback on the show that people say they want us to cut to the chase quicker. So we're cutting to the chase quicker, and then I'll come in and we'll wrap it up.
This is us cutting.
This is us cutting to the chase. So let's get out on the gym floor. Yanni's going to be a fifth wheel here because he doesn't have a microphone, and he's pretty useless anyway. So he's going to be standing behind the camera. I'm joking, of course. He's not useless. So the biggest, there's a massive difference between flexibility and mobility. Flexibility, there's a whole lot of stuff that you do for flexibility training, and it's all designed to increase your range of motion by increasing the elasticity of the muscles. So stretching is a form of flexibility training, but there's so many different ones. We use progressive loaded mobility, we use end range strength. There's a whole lot of different stuff that we do. Whereas mobility is done normally at a much lighter intensity, and it's an umbrella term for anything that really takes your joints through their full range of motion. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you an example of flexibility training for the hip flexors, and then I'm going to show you an example of some mobility training for the hips, including the hip flexors, and then I'm going to talk about how and when you would use both of them. So what I'm going to do here, this is called extension lifts with focus point. So from here, we're targeting the hip flexors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck my pelvis into a posterior pelvic tilt. So I'm going to activate the abs and activate the glutes. That's really, really important. You do not want your pelvis rocking around. The way that your pelvis is aligned for lower body stretching, for hip mobility, is absolutely critical. Even just that much of a difference will be the difference between you actually making gains and improvements with your flexibility or not getting anywhere with it. So Pelvis is tucked forward. I've activated my abs and activated my glutes. The next thing that I'm going to do, without losing that, I'm going to drive this knee forward. So you can see it's a very small movement, but it's enough that that really brings the stretch into my hip flexors. So I can feel the stretch now. My hips are facing forward. My back foot has the little toe and the big toe on the ground. I'm ready to go. So this is my focus point. The idea is that now that I'm in this position, I hold onto this so that I can feel that my body isn't moving around everywhere. I can feel that I'm not doing this kind of thing or this kind of thing as I do the stretch. So I'm locked in, I've come forward, I've got my focus point, and now what I'm going to do is the extension lift. So it's hip extension, lifting the knee. So from here, I'm going to drive my heel back and then back down. Drive my heel back and then back down. Drive my heel back. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating an active stretch because I'm actively using the glutes to create hip extension, which is pulling my the hip flexors into a really good stretch. So this is a flexibility drill that we do. We do 6 reps and then a max hold at the end. And we do at least 3 sets of that in one workout. And this is one of many exercises that we would do for the hip flexors in one workout. And that's what flexibility training is. Flexibility training is the act of trying to increase your range of motion. So it's very, very important to understand. Mobility training, on the other hand, now what I'm doing is I'm not trying to increase my range of motion. I'm trying to maintain what I've got and remind the nervous system, remind the body, or even teach the body that what I've got is usable and isn't to be lost, it's to be maintained. So this is my favorite by far mobility exercise to do for the hips because it just hits every single angle and it hits all the major muscle groups. So this is what we call 360 hip mobility. So from here, I start down in a Cossack squat. I'm going to rotate to the front and try and touch my foot without letting the heel or the toes come off the ground. So I'm going to rotate like that. Once I can't go any further, I turn, come down and lean as far forward as I can, actively pulling myself down. And then I come back up, back to this position. Then I rotate through, so I'm still feeling the stretch, but the angle changes. So now I'm into the same muscle group that I just did the flexibility training for. But what I'm doing is I'm moving through it in a more realistic movement, because this is how movement is. Movement, we don't just do a stretch and sit here. We move through different angles and different ranges of motion. So I'm dragging my body forward and using my mobility, my active range of motion. And then I'm going to come all the way around, down to here, and then come forward, okay? And then I can come back. So now I'm going to lunge forward again to get into that hip joint, rotate around and come back to here. And then I can change sides. You can actually see we've done a video, a show entirely on that move a week ago or 2 weeks ago, so you can go back and watch that show. So I'm not going to spend too much time going into what that 360 hip mobility is. What I want to talk about more is why do flexibility, why do mobility, and when do them. So when to do them. Do you want to come back in the room, Yanni? Yep. So we'll get Yanni in so that Yanni can chime in on this one as well. We've got lots of renovations going on in the gym at the moment. There's some really exciting stuff. I should show you guys quickly. We won't go too far because we might lose range with that. But you can see here, we've converted a couple of our bathrooms. We've got a kitchenette going in there. We've got new offices going in here because we're expanding our team. We're getting a... What's going to be in here? Well, we're going to have an office in here for...
video team.
Yeah, video team's going to be in here.
Social media team.
That's right. And these walls are getting covered in plywood so that we can do handstands on them without putting holes in them because it's gyp rock. And that back wall down the back there, we're getting Swedish ladders put on there so we can do flags and some really cool stuff. So yeah, lots happening at Unity Gym. Anyway, so how to use flexibility training and mobility training and when to use them and why. So the first thing to understand is that flexibility training, again, being a big term, is it's a whole bunch of different types of exercises that you can do, a whole bunch of different types of methods that are designed to increase your flexibility. So you do them like a workout. You either do them the way we teach in the FMS is we do a set of strength training, then a set of flexibility training, then a set of strength training, then a set of flexibility training. And we do, if we're doing upper body strength training, we do lower body flexibility and vice versa. And that way we maximize our time. So you're doing active recovery rather than doing your whole strength training and then doing the flexibility training at the end, which is a really good way to do it, but it takes a lot longer. It means you need to allocate more time. Mobility training is something that you do randomly throughout the day to reverse the damage that you're doing in the seat. So if you're sitting down for too long, you get up, do a little bit of mobility training. Like hanging is mobility training for the shoulders, and that's a really good thing to do. It's also something that you can do at the end of your flexibility session. So once you've done your, whatever it is, half an hour of flexibility training, you can do 5 or 10 minutes of mobility, and that teaches the central nervous system that the new range of motion that you've just worked hard to create is usable and it's something to hang on to. And then the other really good way to use mobility is on your off days. On the days where you're not doing anything, any stretching, any flexibility training, you do a little bit of mobility so that you don't go backwards and your body doesn't stiffen up.
Yeah, this is something that we get asked a lot, which is how do you fit it all in together? And how and when to use what, because it's, you know, it's overwhelming, and I think it's the key reason why we are so successful is because we've got a system that develops strength and flexibility in parallel. We've unified the two concepts, and there doesn't seem to be many people that do it very well. There probably is, I'm sure, but you know, people come to us and say, "My God, you're the only people that I've found that seem to do this well," you know. And one of the key things is understanding the different concepts and methods, but then also putting it together into an efficient workout. And that's a real skill. And that's, I guess, the secret sauce behind the Foundation Movement System. And we have lots of these standalone programs like the 18-minute stretch routine, the mobility masterclass, and all sorts of different things. And, you know, I guess putting it all together into a sequence, a daily ritual is the real magic behind what we do at Unity Gym, you know. And it's not something that we can explain in a 20-minute video, but it's certainly worth learning.
Yeah, and if you want to delve deeper into this and you want a proven program that gets amazing results, that's been sold to thousands of people around the world, and we just get 5-star review after 5-star review, then next week is your opportunity to get the 18-minute stretching routine. And I want to tie this into what we've just done so you understand why this program is the sort of entry level to our system going down the flexibility path. Because there's 2 routines in there that are really important that have a very big difference. The first is the 18-minute stretching routine, and that's the one that most people really like to get started with because it's a single routine that does the whole body that, in all honesty, it is actually more of a mobility routine. We just called it the 18-minute stretching routine because the term stretching is much more understood. People associate with stretching better, but it is more about mobility training. It's more about taking your body through its full range of motion, like what we just said, in all these different positions in a daily routine that you can do really well. And then the loaded mobility routine is progressive loaded mobility where you can use for flexibility development. So when you have both of them together, you really do have all you need to get started and make some serious improvements with your flexibility and mobility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And if you, I'll say this again, if you guys, if you've been sitting on the fence and wanting to, you know, have a taste of our programs, next week is your opportunity to get it at 50% off. From Monday to Friday, it's going to, our offers are strictly limited time, but this is the first time ever that we've done this where we're just offering a discount across all of our programs. You can grab whichever one you want and just there'll be a discount code that will get emailed out to you. And yeah.
Last thing I should say before we wrap up is it is the 4th of July here in Australia. So for all of our US audience, We're doing a live show tomorrow, so we'll say happy 4th of July tomorrow as well. But for the people who do understand that we're a day ahead, happy 4th of July for the American audience. This is what it feels like to be ahead of time.
Yep. This is the future.
We're in the future right now, and we're talking to you from tomorrow. So, happy 4th of July, everyone.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's the
far.
consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.